Yes. Oh, we got 10 seconds. Cannot start early. Good afternoon. Welcome to the March Plant and Equipment Committee meeting, Tuesday, 5th of March. Call to order. Do we have any public comments coming in? None on the phone? Okay. Any committee comments? Seeing none. Number 3, Gateway and Salisbury Booster Station Replacement Project. I assume that is...
I got it. All right, so in your handouts, there is a memo. Ooh, I'll sit back from this microphone a little bit. From Krieger and Stewart, and it goes through all the change orders. The original contract amount was $2,424,000. There were a total of 14 change orders. Some were $0, some were credits to the district. And he does go through his memo, every single one, so if you have any questions about those. But the total amount of the change orders is $33,476.34, which is about 1.4% of the original contract amount. So the total amount is $4,457,476.34. And the work has been completed. The booster station was put into service on February 1st. There are a couple of minor punch list type things, like we had a problem with a leak in the roof hatch. I think it was just one of the roof hatches in the building, and then supposedly it's been fixed, but we really don't know until it rains and we get a good rain again. And then there were some extra parts that are on order that we're waiting to get. There is a retention, of course, so once the board accepts the work, we will file a notice of completion, and then there'll be a lien period before we make final payment. So we are recommending acceptance of contract work.
Okay, thank you. That's nicely done. What's the period of, what do we say, warranty or guarantee on this project?
1 year.
1 year? Okay. So hopefully it'll rain hard for us before the year's end.
Be that we get a hose out and start flooding the roof, right?
That's 1 year from the date that we...
Accepted the work, yeah.
Okay. So you need a motion from...
A recommendation from the committee, yes.
And then we'll bring this up at the Water District meeting for a vote. Is that how this works?
It goes to the board, yes.
Okay.
Okay, I'll recommend that we accept the proposal.
I'll second that. Thank you, Renee. Richmond Elementary School dedication facilities.
Okay, so as you know, Sierra Sands is building the new Richmond Elementary School off North Gateway Boulevard. And there was a requirement to construct a 12-inch pipeline extension. It was about 890 feet. I did get the dedication paperwork, the top one signed. It was signed electronically last Friday, but for some reason when I saved the file and put it together, the signature was gone. So I have asked them to please get me a wet signature and just scan it and send it back. So I'm waiting for that. So it should be in the board packet, but just so you know, it was signed electronically. It's just not showing up. But they have completed that pipeline extension, and all the appurtenances and the value of those facilities are $109,032.81. So we are recommending that the board go ahead and accept dedication of those facilities.
Okay. I'm trying to come up to speed. The last time I heard this discussion was, at least 6 months ago when there was...
Yeah, I think if you recall, we waived a whole bunch of fees
Yeah.
for the school district. So I think because we waived those fees, they don't have the rights to that. They just become our property. Is that correct?
Well, this is the normal process where we go through dedication.
Yeah.
I don't think they were waived any fees because
This isn't that project. This is a different
it
project.
is the same project. I think they requested being waived from fees, but they were denied because they still have to pay the same connection fees, don't they?
Not the capital facility.
They don't have to pay the capital, okay. My memory fails me then.
I believe we gave them some bad data with regard to where they could interconnect.
Correct.
And so we,
Yeah,
I don't know, if you say waive, I'm not sure if that's the right word or not, but we gave them a little bit of help, I guess, financially.
there was some
Variance.
incorrect data in our database, our
Right.
GIS database, and then, so there's some extra work on their part. We worked closely with them, came to a good cooperative agreement, and I think your recommendation is we accept this stuff at this
Yes.
point,
Yeah.
correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I'd like to ask, prior to the new school being built, did we provide water to the old Richmond?
No, we did not. It was on base.
Okay, so that came out of the Navy water budget.
Yes.
Okay, so with a little bit of luck, we should see a reduction in the Navy water use. At the same time, we see obviously an increase in our water use. Is that
Well, that
your
school,
understanding?
that school has been down since the earthquakes. And you remember they moved all those kids over to Viewig? And Viewig's domestic water is still on. Navy domestic water, they have fire flow from us.
Okay.
I think they do have plans eventually to move that onto us.
So actually, our water use went up when they moved to V-Wing.
Yeah, it would have gone up already when they moved to Viewig.
So we should see, if we go over the
I'm
water
sorry.
history, a decrease, maybe water use.
I got that wrong. Viewig still has their domestic water from the Navy. Okay. We did get an increase when Murray went online, because Murray was on base too, so we do serve Murray, if you remember, over by Burroughs.
Okay.
And I think the plan is in the future to connect Viewig with Murray and kind of use it as an overflow, because remember, that's going to be like now the only middle school, because they're going to shut down Monroe, and all the middle schoolers, 7th and 8th graders will go to Murray, and 6th graders will stay in the elementary schools. So Viewig will end up being used for Murray. So
Okay.
they'll eventually then hook the domestic up to us.
Okay.
But yeah.
Well, I'm glad that staff understands all those switches and changes, because my concern is obviously looking forward at the Navy water right, that we don't include double include all that water, because those schools, I guess I don't really know how much those schools use, but obviously it's not a trivial amount. So, okay.
Yeah, good point, thank you. I just had one quick question. I think, I'm trying to remember which district meeting we had, but we had Sierra Sands representatives here, and the topic came up for discussion. Was that this year or was it last
That
year?
was last year.
They seemed to leave the meeting happy that we had heard their case, and are they still happy, or?
Yes. I've
Yes.
talked to, I've
Okay.
talked to the superintendent of schools a couple of times, and she's very happy with the way things are going, as far as I know, and yeah, I see her fairly, at least once a month, and
Yeah.
she's always said,
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to prepare myself if there would be any backlash if I happened to
Do not
have a
believe so.
random meeting on the sidewalk. of the
Probably
school district.
because they got that variance from the fees, so.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
good deal.
No,
Alrighty, that's-
we're only accepting the dedication of this. It's really not a new cost to them. They know what the costs are, and they've agreed to them, and they've already spent them, I expect.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so what do you need from us, Renee?
A recommendation to dedicate the facilities, to accept the dedication.
In that case, I suggest, or I move that we accept this proposal, but
Okay,
in, like what she said.
yep, I'll second that. Thank you, Renee. Northwest Transmission Pipeline Replacement Project. Jason, I assume?
I'm gonna do this one
You can do
too.
that one too?
I've got them all except arsenic. So if you remember, the district awarded the contract last month to Nicholas Construction. We're still in the process of getting everything executed in the contract with them. They've had things returned to them by Krieger and Stewart due to some minor omissions, and the last thing was some insurance endorsements, so it's not happened at the end of last week, so we do expect to get a turnaround again this week, so that can all get sent over to our legal counsel for review, and then back to the district for signature, so that's where we're at with that project.
When do we anticipate seeing digging starting?
I don't think we'll know until we get the contract signed. We could start communicating with the contractor about what their schedule's gonna be,
So
so.
we're still out a month at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I'll make a couple of comments about this particular project as well. So we're looking, as we look at revising our budget, we're gonna change some of the way we manage, contracts, project management, inspections. We're gonna bring some of that stuff in-house. We're going to look internally at some of our personnel to see if we could create a new position at some point in time to have a full-time inspector, both for these types of projects and projects that we're gonna hopefully be doing in-house as we move forward with that proposal as well. So we're trying out some new lessons learned from other projects and going back to the way the district did things, I guess, 10 or 15 years ago. And, we've been kind of limping along for a while without some type of expertise or dedicated personnel that we need to be on site watching these projects. So we're gonna get Krieger and Stewart to help train people, and then we will compete a position potentially for a full-time inspector and yeah, so we think those are things that'll improve our overall project management.
Sounds like a smart move. Thank you for that.
No, we have already approved a contract for this, correct? And,
It was awarded last month.
pardon?
It was awarded to Nicholas Construction last month.
Okay, and now my understanding is the loan is in place? So there's nothing holding us back from getting started?
So we did do the final bond pricing. We expect to see closing and receipt of the funds probably by the end of next week.
Did legal get finished with their review?
Yep.
And we got comments back. Did they incorporate our comments?
No,
Okay,
we talked offline about that, but
okay. There were some minor
non-material,
comments
yeah.
that we're ironing out. So,
But,
And what was the cost of the project estimated?
5.7 million.
Yeah,
5.7.
5.7.
5.7.
Just under 5.7.
So we bonded for more than that, right?
yeah, we will, I think bonding will give us about 7.45 million, plus there's the 3 million from the state.
Okay.
We're waiting on the state's legal review of the agreement that the state provided us. So once their legal signs off on it, then we can sign off on it.
They got lawyers that gotta get paid too. Okay, thanks.
And the only thing that would delay this project at this point in time is the contractor dotting all the i's and crossing all the t's. That's it.
Okay, good deal. I'm looking forward to seeing that start. I guess I'll be seeing it a lot since I drive down Indian Road every day. Okay, and so you don't need anything from us on that? It's
No, that's
just an update?
That's just an update.
Okay, thank you for that, Renee. Number 6, Dune 3 and hometown water consolidations.
Yeah, we have met, George and I met with the State Water Resources Control Board, and then we also had a meeting, George and our legal counsel and us, we then had a meeting with the State Water Resource Control Board and discussed the agreement, and the fact that they can't change anything in the agreement. So Jim still has some concerns, and there'll be discussion, I believe, at the board meeting about that agreement. After that, we all had a meeting with the GA to talk about consolidations in general, and also the fact that they have some ideas on areas that they're looking at maybe in the future that we could do some consolidations. They have sent us some maps and some lists and things, so we're looking at that, and they're looking at the language of their grant to see if there's anything they could do to assist us if we have any funding issues with completing any of the consolidations. So that's where we're at right now.
Okay, and you said we'll get a more detailed discussion on that next Monday?
Yes, from Jim about the contract with the state, yes.
Okay.
Now, it's my understanding that GA has got a limited window to commit those funds, I believe. Don't they, is it like a 2-year window to identify a project and get that defined and back to the state?
Yeah, I don't know what the time limit is, but yes, those funds have they have an expiration date on them at some point, so they want to move forward. So,
Okay. Well, I guess we need to make sure that we don't let those funds expire, I guess is my only concern, because they could, um, well, we need to talk them into cooperating, I guess, because I don't think they have a way to use the funds personally. So I think we're the logical, agency to obtain those and use them.
yeah, they did send us, they sent us a, kind of a map and some other information about areas that they thought might be, reasonable to expend those funds on, and they asked for our input. I think we have some good ideas about, the most cost-effective way to sort of work collaboratively with them to execute various consolidation projects. So,
Okay.
so far they seem to be fairly willing to work with us, and that seems to be a good thing.
And, I may be remembering this wrong, but it seems to me that within the last 2 or 3 years, we got a letter from the state, DWR, asking us to look at consolidating with certain groups or agencies. Is that familiar to anybody? Or was it the GA that got a letter from the DWR talking about?
Well, certainly the consolidations is a part of the groundwater sustainability plan.
Oh, yeah.
So I would assume they've had some, and obviously the GA went and applied for a grant to get funding for that, so clearly they've had some discussions with the state, but I'm
Right.
not privy to the details of that.
It just seems to me that somewhere in the back of my mind, which gets smaller all the time, that we actually got a letter from DWR suggesting certain areas, but
I think it
But
was
I
the
can't
State
remember
Water
the
Resources
exact-
Control Board.
Yeah. And I think generally the people have the best ideas about what should be consolidated are sitting right over there.
Something that I thought of when I was looking over this agenda was, I was just curious, what role, if any, does LAFCO play in this whole arena? If we're gonna change boundaries and that kind of thing?
If we need to consolidate with something outside our boundaries, we will involve LAFCO. At this point, neither of the consolidations that we're working on are outside our boundaries.
Okay, because I'm not even sure, quite frankly, where our boundaries are, so.
There is a boundary map on our website if you need to look
I
at
think
it.
it's in the general plan,
Mhm.
but I don't have that memorized, so I'm not sure which of these things is in our region already and which ones we would have to,
Pretty much all of them are gonna be already in our boundary.
okay. Would we need to get permission from LAFCO before we consolidated with something that was outside of our boundary?
Yes, we would have to do a boundary adjustment.
Okay. Okay, so.
Yep.
Just one more thing that complicates things that,
Yeah, it isn't too bad, too complicated. Not too-
Fortunately, our staff is on top of it, and they seem to, Renee clearly has the handle on
Yeah,
what
we-
needs to be done,
we've
so
done it
that's a
before.
good thing.
well, I mean, it's very logical, to do these consolidations, and I would hope that it would be easy to convince LAFCO, but, they're an agency like all the others, and they've got their idiosyncrasies, so
Yeah.
we just need to be aware of it, I guess. Okay, thank you.
On so far, these two consolidations are ones that those that are being consolidated want to be consolidated.
Yes.
It's not a
Yes.
hostile act on our behalf.
No.
Are there any
They
anticipated?
approached us.
Okay. I hope that's how the other consolidations will go as well. We don't need the
And clearly, public input and the people that live there are gonna have a say, and I don't think the water district would try to
Oh.
move forward in some sort of hostile manner for anyone, we're gonna,
No, normally in the past, they've either approached us, the actual mutual or whatever itself, or the State Water Resources Control Board has approached us.
Okay.
Well, I would kind of assume that the DWR or the State Water Resource Control Board wouldn't be asking us or the GA to consolidate with someone who didn't want to be consolidated.
unless they have issues that the state's concerned about, water quality issues, those kinds of things.
Yeah, well, in that case, I would hope that the people would want to.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Even then, I think it's just a heavy suggestion of consolidation. Right.
Unless there's a state takeover or something like that, yeah.
Mhm. Okay, very good, thank you. Item 7, arsenic treatment. Jason?
Yes, sir. Pure Flow and Filtronics received the initial 50% payment. Filtronics is working with their vendor to determine when we will receive the media. Pure Flow is scheduled for delivery May 1st. So we will be scrambling to install the media and working some magic to make sure that we're ready for summer.
So that'll typically go online not too long after that, right?
They'll be, yeah, we'll install the media, we'll do our disinfection procedures, and we'll get them on as soon as we can, because May is gonna start warming up,
Okay,
so.
very good. Questions, Steve?
No, okay.
All right, item 8, future agenda items.
Just so you know, what I still have listed on the minutes for future agenda is the inspection of our other transmission pipelines, which we're gonna be hopefully putting in the budget for next year or on our wish list. Possible state grant funding for the La Mirage area maybe in the future, and also the Springer Avenue pipeline, which will be the next project after the Indian Road transmission pipeline, or the Northwest transmission pipeline.
So we're gonna wait until the Northwest pipeline is done before we start Stringer?
It'll probably be going when we are planning and
Okay.
designing Springer.
Okay,
I think, I would say while the installation is going on, we'll be doing all the preliminary potholing and all those, and finalizing the plans and being ready to go out to bid.
okay. Very good,
I have one other thing that may come up in the future.
please.
So probably next week, Krieger and Stewart and our staff are gonna sit down and we're gonna talk about, the wish list of things that would need to be done if the imported pipeline project were to materialize. And that would be a list of essentially projects. So there's a couple of notes on that we'll end up, that's gonna be important in understanding the full cost impact if it came. So if we do proceed forward with a cost estimate, we're gonna wanna include that piece of it. So that's one part, and, let's see, oh, I love my memory when it goes bad on me. So the other part that's important is we gotta understand the cost, and then we were talking with the GA about how we might get funding for that, because obviously if we do these projects, and so they have a consulting firm that has been out, and my memory again is failing me.
Capital Corps.
Capital Corps. So when I was in a discussion on this with the GA, and the GA does want to see our list of like what we think we would need. I did chat with Capital Corps and asked GA if they had any objection to us utilizing Capital Corps if we needed to go out and search for grant funding or other types of funding, and there didn't seem to be any initial objection. So we're just having some initial discussions about if the pipeline were to come, how would we finance all the other things? Because that's not included in their current design.
Is there just one option there? Have they settled on one, or is there multiple options for how we would receive the water?
I think we're going to take care of the options that we want in our wish list. I believe what we're going to say is we need an injection well as part of our system, whether that's part of theirs or not. But if they're sending us water and they want us to be so this is an interesting point. At the Economic Outlook Conference, the GA said the water that they're importing is for everyone in the valley, which is not necessarily consistent with a single point of connection to us, because I don't know how we can distribute to everyone in the valley unless we have some way to inject water. And so that's just confusing to me. I don't really fully understand or know if they fully understand the implications. You can't just connect to us and say anybody in the valley can use that water.
Right.
So it's just something that needs to be clarified, and I think we're going to help try to clarify it by saying if you're not going to design some sort of injection well in your system, we're gonna put it on our side so we can pump water in and you can figure out who uses it later. So that's one way we might address it.
Yeah, well, I think it seems confusing because it is confusing. Did any discussion about a new Prop 218 uh,
On their part,
fee come up, or, I mean, somewhere not only do we have to pay the GA, but we have to figure out a way to get those funds. So there's really two parts to it.
yeah, I believe our legal and their legal we're supposed to be having discussions on water purchases and how that might work. And I know that we're
I don't wanna
looking at
stop you
doing.
guys, but this is not on the agenda. This is future agenda items.
Okay.
We're supposed to be setting this up, not
Okay.
actually having the discussion.
That's true, okay. So
Yeah. Well,
I
obviously,
stand corrected, but yeah, we will have further discussions.
yeah. Oh, yeah, there's still a lot of discussions obviously to be had.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're at the very starting point
You can put it on next month.
of figuring it out. And who's gonna be using it is also important, like you were pointing out earlier.
Yeah. So,
Okay, well, thank you for that, George. I've got them jotted down here, and I guess we can revisit those as we get closer to making a relevant discussion of those topics pertinent. And we will call the meeting at 2:26. Thank you.
thank you.